Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can hear me. I've decided not to use the microphone. Just a couple of announcements before I bring in your bride and groom. I hope that when I bring them in, you will give them a fairly rousing reception. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Fairly mediocre. They're outside having a quiet moment to themselves. It's always this is an emotional and important day for them, so I encourage them to take a minute just to look into each other's eyes and just think about things or whatever, because the rest of the day, up to date, it's been a bit of a whirlwind for them, and the rest of the day it'll continue to be a whirlwind. So I'll bring a minute alone, but when they come in, do give them a reception. I'll bring them in, I'll lead them in right up to the top table. So let's keep the reception going right up until the top table. We've been very lucky with the weather. There were a couple of uncertain moments earlier on today, and I was reminded of a quote from Cicero, 53 BC. You probably know it. Uncertain weather that leads to glorious sunshine on your nuptials means happiness for the rest of your life. So there we are. That is Cicero, 53 BC, with a couple of minor modifications by me. The other thing I'd like to say is that most of you have seen the guest book, kindly donated by Carolyn. Did I get that right?
Yes, Caroline Edwards.
Carolyn, wherever you are, Carolyn, stick your hand in the air. There we are. Carolyn has donated this guest book, so if you haven't had a chance to sign it, it's over on the table by the door where the presents are. Do, during the course of the evening, sign it, because that'll be a wonderful memory for Chris and Alex to look back on. Okay, so I will go and get our bride and groom, announce them formally, and I know you'll give them a great reception. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a warm welcome to your new bride and groom, Alex and Chris, the new Mr. and Mrs. Broadway. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to, the cake is going to be taken away, then we'll come back to you. We're going to segue subtly into the speeches, or toasts, as it should more properly be called. The word speeches sometimes makes people a little worried about delivering them. So I want you to, they are in fact toasts. I think we've got 3 toasts coming up, and I know they'll get us because you promised me when I came round to speak to you, and you look like people who keep your word, even though some of you are from Wales. Sorry, I think we'll just so, first of all, I'm going to ask the father of the bride, Lyndon, from Wales. From Wales. They used to. Okay, so I'm going to ask Lyndon to come up and kind of say a few words. So give him your support as you can.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah. I'm not sure if we paid.
I spoke to you earlier on, ladies and gentlemen, about the tradition of the groom parading his bride for you to acclaim her. And this is the tradition that's now known as the first dance. So perhaps you'd like to kind of gather in a more supportive huddle and give Chris and Alex all the applause and support they deserve in doing this, their first dance. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling to the floor to perform their first dance as a married couple, Mr. and Mrs. Broadway. So would Mr. and Mrs. Broadway, Alex and Chris, kindly take to the floor.
Thank you.